will have an English and an Indonesian version of the slides. The speaker will speak in slow English, and if at the end of the slide you would like Ririn to translate, please can you use the raise your hand icon at the top of your screen. So at the top of your screen, you should have a picture of a hand that says raise. If you would like something translated, please put your hand up and then Ririn will translate that. The other thing I just want to say is you can use the chat function. Again, at the top, if you click chat, you can type a message. Ririn and her team will be checking and answering questions written in Indonesian, and Lucy will answer questions written in English. Sorry, over to you, Ririn, to translate that. Thank you.
Baik, teman-teman sekalian, nanti Debbie akan menyampaikan presentasinya. Dia akan menggunakan bahasa Inggris yang pelan. Saya minta tolong, apakah teman-teman bisa melihat translasi dari bahasa Inggris ke bahasa Indonesia di bawah slide-nya, teman-teman?
Bisa, Bu. Bisa, Ibu.
Bisa.
Bisa, Bu. Bisa.
Alhamdulillah. Kalau begitu,
Bisa, Bu.
kalau misalnya ada yang tidak jelas, silakan raise hand, angkat tangan. Nanti boleh dalam bahasa Indonesia ataupun nulis di chat, di kolom chat. Untuk misalnya ada yang tidak jelas, maka raise hand. Kalau tidak jelas, kemudian saya akan translate ke dalam bahasa Indonesia. Tapi jika jelas, Debbie akan terus presentasinya. Demikian ya teman-teman ya.
Siap, Bu.
Yeah, Debbie, although it's not perfect, they got the text running underneath the slide, so it's really helps. So yeah, if they do have a question or they don't understand, they will raise the hand, and then I can help with the translation.
Perfect. Well, welcome to today's session. We have just over 1 hour, and we are talking about patient and public involvement and engagement. For us, a very exciting topic. So we're very excited to share this with you today. 4 people will speak this morning. I will start. My name is Dr. Debbie Smith. I have met many of you recently, I think, in Indonesia. So hello again. Then I will pass over to Dr. Christine Ferber. She will tell you a bit about her work. Then Dr. Stephanie Lyons will talk about her work. And then Lucy Humes, a PhD student who, again, some of you may have seen a video from her when I visited Indonesia, will talk about her work. This workshop is the first of 2 workshops. So at the end of this workshop, we will ask you if you have any ideas, questions for the next workshop. The next workshop will be more interactive. We will make you work together in the next workshop. This workshop, we will talk to you about PPIE. So I am going to start by talking about PPIE, patient and public involvement and engagement. When people signed up for this workshop, everybody said, we don't know about PPIE. So today we will tell you what it is, then we will hear 3 examples of it used. And the next workshop, we will talk how you can do it. So, PPIE. It's research carried out with or by members of the public, rather than to them, for them, or about them. It's very important, these words. We in PPIE are working together with the public as researchers from the start of our project. We do it because involving people can help us to monitor the quality of our services and our work. It's also important to include people with relevant experience. We here today all have expertise, but when we are working in projects, we need to make sure we have all the relevant expertise together. I am a psychologist. I am a mother. I've had some experience of pregnancy. But if I am working on a project with mothers, I need to hear from mothers and work with them when I'm designing my research. It also reflects the needs of the public. In the UK, a lot of our research is funded by government money. So we need to make sure our work is designed for the needs of the people in the country. Ruin, is that okay, do you think, to move on? Is that just to check, because the first slide, is that picking it up okay?
Yes, I think it's fine for now.
Okay, perfect. So why should we do PPIE? We do PPIE in most of our projects now. Really, every single one we should be using PPIE. And there's two key things we've picked up here. Lots of you will work in healthcare. Lots of you will work in research. So on this slide, we've just talked about why PPIE is important in healthcare and also in research. So PPIE in healthcare can have one of these key objectives. It might be providing information about services. As I said, I'm a mother, but I accessed antenatal care many years ago. So how do I know what current antenatal care is like? I need to make sure I am speaking to people who are currently in those services to provide that information in my research. It can also help us improve access to service. It can help us to make sure people know about services. It can also improve the quality of services. If we are finding out how people are experiencing services, then we will be able to improve the quality of those services. So PPIE is really important to make sure that we are hearing the experiences of people in those services now, so that we can improve information about those services, access to those services, and the quality of those services. In research, it's very important because it helps us to do two things, really. It helps us to make sure we are designing high quality research. It makes sure that we are understanding the needs, the views, the experiences of the people we are trying to do the research for. So by engaging PPIE, we are working with those groups. It also helps us to be transparent. It helps us to think about, question what we are doing, and make sure that we are being transparent at every step of our process. So how do we do PPIE? We know that we should be doing PPIE. We have to think about what we want to achieve by doing PPIE. So what do we want to know? What do we want our PPIE groups to be helping us with? And how will they add value to our current research? We need to think about the types of people we need to work with in PPIE work. So we need to spend lots of time at the start of our research identifying, thinking, who are the key people we need to involve in our research as PPIE partners. And we need to think about the qualities we want from them. So as it says there at the bottom, think about who you would want your PPI contributors to be. That's your first big question. Then you need to think about how would you get access to your PPIE contributors. This is obviously separate to your research project. This is often before you've started your research. You want to do the project design with those people. So how do you access them? How do you find those people? I know Lucy had sent an email to Veni, so Veni may want to add something into this slide as well, because Veni is a current PhD student at Manchester from Indonesia, and she did do elements of PPIE in her work, so she may add in a moment some extra places to this slide, Veni, not to put you on the spot. So think about where you can access people. Lucy put some ideas on here. If you are a student, you may start by speaking to your supervisor. Who do they know that might want to act as a PPIE contributor and help you in your research process? You might have your own contacts. You might be working in the relevant services or charities, and you might want to think of people that way. You might also ask those contacts who they have contacts with and find people that way. You might want to link in with local groups. Here we have a lot of charity groups working in Manchester. We may link in with them. We may put posters up in places we know the people we want to speak to would be. So for me, pregnancy research, often in libraries where people borrow books, in nurseries or children's centres, and on social media. I would put a word of warning with social media now, because with social media, we are having lots of problems with robots and different people answering the social media calls who perhaps don't meet the remit that you want them to actually meet. And it's quite hard to verify they are real people who meet your criteria via social media. Veni, is there anything else you can think of just to add to this for the Indonesian context?
Yeah, thank you, Debbie, for introducing me and give me the opportunity to inform what I've done with my project. So what I have in my study is I try to contact using the existing networks, because usually if we want to research about pregnancy topic, then we have the existing networks with the primary health centers that we call puskesmas. And then we also have the midwives working in the community. And then we have the cadres or community healthcare workers who are involved in the community, so we can talk to them as well. And also the informal community in the villages or even in urban areas. So we call it PKK groups. Maybe later Mbak Ririn also can add some information about it. And we can also connect with the village authorities or the community leader in the area. So they are very helpful as well as the key stakeholder if we want to discuss and then find the proper people to discuss about our topics, and also connecting with the local NGOs, partnering with the university. So there are lots of ways how we, connect with the people to access the PPIE contributors. That's what I can say, Debbie.
Thank you very much, Penny. So another thing to think about is when is a good time to involve your PPIE partners in your research. When should they be involved? When do you want to speak to them? This diagram shows you across a project, across one piece of research. and help you to think about the questions or the input you might want from PPIE contributors at each point of your research. We all here today, Lucy, Christine, Stephanie, Venny, I, all try to include PPIE right from the start of our projects, all the way through our projects until the end. This way, we are working with them rather than for them. So at the beginning of a project, study conception, a question to think about here is, are you researching a topic that is important to the people who are involved? We, as academics, as healthcare professionals, sometimes have an idea of what to do, but unless we speak to the people who are experiencing that service or that condition, we may miss something. So very important to speak to them at the beginning. When we are looking at recruiting our participants to a research project, it's important to speak to our PPIE. They know their group of people. They know how to find them, how to encourage them to take part in research. So ask them those questions then. When you come to collect data, what do people feel comfortable with? How can we ask the questions? How do we collect data from them? Again, asking the groups of people can tell us more about how we would get good, rich data that they feel comfortable with. Analysis. It's really useful to take your analysis, your results back to those PPIE groups and ask them if they agree with the conclusions you've come to. Have you missed anything? Have you understood everything? Really useful to do that. And then dissemination. How are you going to get those results out to all the people that matter, all the people that can use those results to make change? So you want to find out there, who are the key people I want to speak to here, and how can I make sure I get to them? It's really important to think about the input that you want from your PPIE contributors at each of those points. What do you actually want from them? Those questions can help you. And what activities can help you achieve that with them? From all of our experience, we all think it's much better to plan structured activities with PPIE contributors. And you'll see some examples today, rather than just telling them about your work and saying, what do you think? If you have structured activities, they are more likely to contribute, to have things to add to your work, and then feel like they are working with you rather than you just telling them and them answering you. Have a think about what, as I said a moment ago, what input you want. Do you want them to talk to you about how acceptable an intervention is? Do you want them to help you review recruitment plans for your study? Do you want them to help you organise the thematic synthesis? So do you want them to help you organise your data to make relevance and sense to their group? Do you want them to provide different perspectives on data collection issues? Yes, you want them to do all of these things. You want them to present them, but which ones do you want and how will you do those? You want to hear about their previous impact as well. Here are some ways that Lucy suggests you can do these things. These are activities in the yellow box that you can do to answer those questions that we said there, that input that we think those groups can have. So if we want them to discuss acceptability of interventions, we could ask them how they would feel about being part of that intervention. We might set up an activity to tell them about the intervention and then ask them how they would feel and work with them, maybe do some role play, practice how that intervention would look. If we want them to review our recruitment plans, we might ask them to rank the recruitment strategies in a list of the one at the top being the one they think would be the most useful to recruit people, and the one at the bottom, the one they think wouldn't really recruit people very well. Again, getting them to do an activity can really help find that information out. If we wanted to find or provide different perspectives on data collection, we might ask them to have a look at our data plan. We would have a list of our data plan, and we might ask them in a green pen, can you go through, circle the bits that you think would work well, and maybe use a red pen to circle and make notes on where we could do better in our recruitment, in our data collection. How could we do better? Why don't you think that would work to get data? For organising the data into maybe thematic synthesis, we might ask them, we might show them numbers of quotes. We might give them quotes from the data, and we might ask them to help us sort them into the themes. So again, we are getting them working and feeling like they are with us in the project. So the last kind of point from me is, that was a brief outline of what PPIE is. So it's working with our groups that we want to be researching or including more in healthcare, including them from the start of our projects where possible. I then talked a little bit about how we can do that and some of the questions to ask yourself. Who do we want? How can we get them? What do we want from them? And how do we best work with them? So the key message from this first part of today is, when you're starting to do PPIE work, always think back to this question. What is PPIE? Why do we need PPIE? And how do we do PPIE? And hopefully this morning has helped you to start thinking about those three things. In a second, we're going to hear some actual examples of those from three of our other speakers. And then our workshop in 2-3 weeks' time will help you to think through these for a project that you are actually doing now. So before we move on to Christine, are there any questions for me?
Apakah ada yang mau bertanya kepada Dr. Debbie Smith? Silahkan teman-teman. Kalau sekiranya tidak bisa dalam bahasa Inggris, boleh dalam bahasa Indonesia, nanti saya akan translate-kan.
No, is that all okay? Yeah? Okay, I will pass over to Christine Ferber, who is a reader in midwifery at the University of Salford. Christine, obviously I'm sharing the slides, so when you'd like me to move on, just say next slide, please. So over to you, please, Christine.
Okay, thank you, Debbie, and thank you for inviting me to talk this morning. It's a great honour. So I'm a midwife, and I'm going to share with you an activity of PPIE that we conducted in May this year. Could you go to the next slide, please, Debbie? Oh, it's the one before that.
You are missing a slide, aren't you?
Yeah.
Hold on, one sec. One sec. Technical issue. 1 second.
It's all right, don't worry. This is, well, I'll just talk to the slides. This is the photographs. We had a photographer at an event where we had over 80 people talking about the topic. The topic was Black ethnic women's experiences of maternity care. And we did this in a World Cafe style. So we've got small groups of people to discuss about the particular questions related to the topic. Want me to find a slide?
Okay, Lucy, are you just getting it?
Yeah, I am just
And
getting it
then
now.
Lucy, do you wanna take over and share just that one slide? You can take over my screen, can't you? And you can just share that one slide. Sorry, Christine, we'll share that for you in 1 sec.
It's all right. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I've got it ready when
I can't remember what's
you
on
want me
it.
to share it.
Would you like it shared now, Christine?
Yeah, please, if you don't mind. Sorry. All right.
Has that worked?
That's it. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. Sorry for the mistake.
All right. Don't worry. This example is a World Cafe model that we use in our PPIE activity. Our activity, our aim was to develop a network of stakeholders to support research that we want to do to improve outcomes for minority ethnic women. Here in Manchester, we have a very diverse population, and myself and my colleague Emma Quegger-Afu, her name's at the bottom, are working together to develop a network of interested stakeholders, and our plan is to start to do research in this area. And we use the World Cafe model to communicate with relevant people who would be able to help us inform this, our research ideas. So we invited stakeholders, we invited local women, we use the term service users, midwives, academics, obstetricians and researchers. We had over 80 people attend, and in small group discussions we asked everyone to think about answering particular questions about current and local priorities for research. This information was written onto flip charts, and it's been typed, transcribed and analysed, and we're currently sharing this with delegates who attended, who signed a consent form to continue. We had ethics favourable opinion to complete this study, so it was done very much in a research way.
Oh,
so
sorry, Lucy, we can see your chat, not the slide. Sorry, Christine, sorry to interrupt you. Please, can we just pause 1 second, because the chat function is not coming up anymore. So Ririn may just need to translate a little bit of what you've been saying.
Baik, teman-teman, dikarenakan tidak ada teks yang muncul karena teksnya itu di pengaturannya Debbie, apakah teman-teman butuh translation di sini atau masih bisa mengikuti?
Ya, butuh Ibu translate.
Masih butuh translate Ibu.
Bisa Bu.
Masih bisa Bu, kan ada translate yang di slide-nya ini.
Ya, jadi pada prinsipnya beliau itu ini adalah riset yang di PPIE yang diterapkan oleh Dr. Christian Forber. Jadi beliau mengundang para pemangku kepentingan, penggunanya, bidannya, nakesnya gitu. Kemudian mereka berdiskusi, ya, tanya jawab, mengidentifikasi prioritas dan sebagainya. Kemudian yaitu menganalisis data, diskusi, bagian para kelompok, memberikan area-area utama. Prinsipnya dia mengikutsertakan orang-orang, kontributor-kontributor yang memang dapat memberikan input pada risetnya. Seperti itu, Ibu-Ibu. Kita lanjutkan dulu, Ibu-Ibu, ya.
Iya, Bu.
Baik, Bu.
Baik, Bu.
Kristen, you
Yes,
may
Bu.
continue.
Can I carry on? So
Yes, yes, please.
we analyse the data into themes, and we've for the 51 people who signed the consent forms, they are currently ranking the priorities for research. And when we've collated those responses, we'll use that to help us look for funds in the new year. So if we move to the next slide, which should be the photographs again.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop sharing so we can get back to Debbie's version.
Yeah, sorry. So the
Has it come back?
photographs here, yeah. The photographs here illustrate the World Cafe. We had a photographer and we've got permission to take the photographs. So you can see that people are working in small groups. I know these people, and we've got local women, we've got midwives, we've got academics, we've got an obstetrician here, we've got researchers, and you'll probably recognise Venny in the bottom right hand corner, because Venny came as well. We had quite a few PhD students, and you can see that on the top photographs that we use flip charts to write our ideas down, and those ideas were all collated, and then we're using that to help us identify our priorities for research, which we hope in the new year we'll be able to progress with. So thank you, I've finished.
Are there any questions for Christine on any of that? So a unique way of running PPIE in a World Cafe format. Any questions there about doing that?
Apakah ada pertanyaan teman-teman seputar PPIE ini? Atau ini suatu hal yang sangat baru ya untuk kita semua, jadinya kita masih mencoba mendigest, menelan konsep-konsep ini ya. Jadi mungkin ini kalau nggak ada pertanyaan, saya ingin bertanya. Oh, Penny, you have a question?
Yeah, Christine. So thank you so much for your explanation. I think here I just want to explain to our colleague in Indonesia about my experience attending that event. So is it okay if I talk in Indonesia, Christine?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's nice to hear your language.
Yeah. Because I want to share, like the wonderful experience I had with that kind of PPIE, and I believe that this would be very helpful for our colleague in Indonesia as well. Ya, baik. Terima kasih, Mbak Ririn. Saya mau izin untuk menyampaikan pelaksanaan dari PPIE yang kemarin sempat saya ikuti bersama dengan Dr. Christine Ferber di University of Salford. Jadi mungkin PPIE ini memang sangat mungkin masih belum sering ditemukan di Indonesia ya Mbak Ririn ya. Sebelum kita melakukan penelitian mungkin kita lebih sering untuk apply untuk etik, kemudian mengurus perizinan penelitian, tetapi kita memang belum banyak melibatkan stakeholder ataupun masyarakat ataupun orang-orang yang benar-benar memahami topik yang akan kita teliti. Nah, dari pengalaman yang saya ikuti bersama dengan Dr. Christine Ferber kemarin, jadi kegiatan PPIE ini sangat-sangat bermanfaat sekali, di mana kita tidak hanya dikumpulkan untuk saling berbagi pendapat atau memberikan masukan terkait topik penelitian yang akan diteliti, tetapi kita juga mendengarkan presentasi-presentasi dari pakar dulu mengenai proyek-proyek riset yang sudah dikerjakan oleh mereka dan bagaimana hasil-hasil dari penelitian sebelumnya. Sehingga kita bisa mendapatkan masukan apa nanti kira-kira topik yang akan kita kerjakan untuk selanjutnya dari gap yang ditemukan dari penelitian-penelitian sebelumnya. Kemudian setelah itu kita dikumpulkan untuk melakukan diskusi dalam kelompok-kelompok kecil. Nah, di situ kita diberikan kesempatan untuk saling brainstorming. Jadi kira-kira apa saja ide-ide yang muncul untuk membangun topik-topik penelitian selanjutnya dan mendapatkan funding seperti itu. Jadi ini adalah hal yang mungkin sangat bermanfaat bagi kita ke depannya karena untuk publikasi, kemudian untuk mendapatkan grant research penelitian, maka semua penelitian sekarang diwajibkan untuk melakukan kegiatan PPIE ini. Sehingga sebelum kita menjalankan proyek penelitian, paling tidak kita sudah mendapatkan gambaran apa yang akan dikerjakan dan mendapatkan masukan dari partisipan seperti itu. Mungkin itu yang bisa saya sampaikan. Ya,
Terima kasih Mbak Feni atas penjelasannya untuk kita semua. Silakan apakah ada yang ingin bertanya teman-teman sekalian dari yang sudah disampaikan baik oleh Dr. Debbie atau Dr. Christine atau Mbak Feni, silakan.
Ya, Bu, permisi Bu. Saya menyampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia, izin ya Bu ya.
Silakan Bu.
Ya. Oke, thank you Debbie and Christine for your explanation. I want to ask in Indonesian. Oke.
Nggak apa-apa Kak, nggak apa-apa. Mangga.
Iya. Jadi Mbak siapa tadi? Bu Feni, ya. Bu Feni, ini jadi semacam pemaparan awal sebelum riset seperti itu ya. Nah,
iya betul sekali. Iya.
Iya, jadi istilahnya background penelitian sebelumnya dipaparkan oleh tim ahli ke audiens langsung, ke stakeholder langsung. Nah, kemudian kita masuk memaparkan apa yang akan kita lakukan. Itu.
Iya.
Nah, kalau di Indonesia itu kan mengumpulkan itu kadang kita prosedurnya banyak ya, mulai dari undangan, mulai dari setting tempat. Karena itu seperti kebutuhan kita, bukan kebutuhan stakeholders. Sehingga semua persiapan itu kan dari kita. Nah, untuk di Indonesia misalnya mengumpulkan seperti itu, budayanya kan pasti menyiapkan snacknya yang di luar materi istilahnya, itu sudah riweh sendiri gitu ya.
Iya.
Di luar konten ya. Itu belum lagi kita nanti budaya ada spanduk lah, ada macam-macam daftar hadir administrasinya dan lain-lain. Nah, kira-kira untuk di Indonesia nih strateginya yang menarik seperti apa gitu supaya stakeholder ini merasa oh ini penting. Seperti itu. Terima kasih.
Iya, baik. Mbak Ririn, mungkin saya mencoba menanggapi ya Mbak Ririn, mengaitkan dengan bagaimana pengalaman saya sebagai mahasiswa PhD yang kemarin melakukan kegiatan PPIE seperti itu. Tapi sebetulnya ini dalam konteks yang tidak formal seperti itu, karena saya memahami bagaimana kendala-kendala dalam melaksanakan PPIE secara formal, Bu. Dan pada saat saya memulai proyek PhD saya, kegiatan ini masih belum seperti apa ya, sangat sangat familiar gitu, terutama di rural area Indonesia seperti itu. Jadi penelitian saya melakukan eksplorasi keterlibatan suami dalam pelaksanaan kelas ibu hamil di daerah rural Yogyakarta, Indonesia. Nah, dalam penelitian saya ini memang saya memahami keterbatasan dana sebagai mahasiswa PhD ya Bu. Jadi saya tidak mungkin melakukan seperti event yang besar yang mungkin dilakukan oleh Dr. Christine Ferber seperti itu. Nah, dari sini saya berdiskusi dengan supervisor saya, kebetulan Dr. Christine Ferber dan Dr. Debbie Smith adalah supervisor saya, bagaimana cara saya mengakomodasi untuk mendapatkan masukan karena saya melakukan start project riset itu di tahun 2022, sedangkan semenjak setelah COVID itu saya tidak tahu bagaimana perkembangan kelas ibu hamil, bagaimana perkembangan kelas antenatal di Indonesia. Tentunya kalau saya langsung menilai penelitian, saya tidak tahu bagaimana pelaksanaan di lapangan, bagaimana kebutuhan dari masyarakat, apakah topik saya ini relevan, walaupun saya sudah melakukan literatur review sebelumnya dan menemukan gap yang ada. Kemudian setelah itu, saya mencoba untuk mengontak bidan yang ada di beberapa puskesmas yang saya kenal untuk menanyakan siapa di sini yang bertanggung jawab untuk pelaksanaan kelas ibu hamil di tingkat kabupaten seperti itu. Kemudian saya diperkenalkan dengan koordinator dari kelas ibu hamil itu, Bu, dan saya banyak melakukan kegiatan diskusi, tapi memang sifatnya tidak secara formal, tetapi kami mempunyai dokumentasi dan pelaksanaan dan hasil dari kegiatan. Kemudian saya melakukan meeting ataupun pertemuan dengan bidan-bidan dari puskesmas di mana saya akan melaksanakan kegiatan penelitian dan itu sangat bermanfaat sekali, Bu. Jadi seperti yang tadi saya sampaikan bahwa existing network atau link yang sudah kita miliki di lapangan itu juga sangat penting. Makanya kenapa kalau kita melakukan penelitian, kita juga harus mempertimbangkan aspek visibility juga. Kenapa saya tidak melakukan penelitian di Papua begitu? Karena memang dari aspek visibility saya juga mempunyai local network yang ada di Yogyakarta dan kebetulan topik yang saya teliti juga memang sangat relevan untuk di daerah rural area seperti itu. Jadi itu bisa dijadikan pertimbangan-pertimbangan kita bagaimana strategi kita yang dilakukan karena dengan melakukan PPIE atau koordinasi dengan tadi koordinator kelas ibu hamil yang ada di tingkat kabupaten di Dinas Kesehatan beserta bidan-bidan dan juga staf koordinator yang ada di puskesmas itu memudahkan kita dalam mengakses partisipan, kemudian memudahkan kita dalam nanti mengembangkan pertanyaan-pertanyaan dan bagaimana kita bisa melakukan kegiatan secara tidak perlu banyak menghabiskan dana seperti itu, Ibu. Yeah. So Christine, so Christine will be leaving soon. So I want to explain to Christine and Debbie what I just said. Yeah, Debbie and Christine. So one of our participants asking about the challenges conducting PPIE, especially like what Christine has explained to us, because we believe that in Indonesia we need, like the fundings that mostly it's difficult for us, like before we receive the grant for the research project, like to conduct such an event, because we need to provide the refreshment, we need to provide some kind of transportation incentives. So we just talk about how we try to manage the challenges that we may face in conducting the PPIE, and I just explained what I experienced before and how I try to solve, to do the PPIE, like it's kind of informal PPIE, especially because, like to conduct the really formal PPIE, then I need to get more funding for it. So we try to solve this problem, like how to discuss with the coordinator of antenatal education programs, also with the midwives, the stakeholders about the program, the existing program in Indonesia, and about my research topic previously.
So just to add to that, actually, I'll let Christine speak because Christine needs to go. Then I'll.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I have to go to another meeting. It's actually to organise another session like this for another project. But we managed to get some funding from our university, and we were able to. It wasn't a large amount of money, but we were able to buy refreshments, which was needed, and pay travel expenses. We did have some key speakers. We had two researchers who'd done research work with groups who are not always easy to access. In our country, she'd done some work with travellers. These are people who move around the country and live in mobile homes, and their reading and writing skills are not good. So she'd use artwork therapy to communicate with them. So we were able to get some funding to get some really, what we thought were really quite unique researchers to talk about their experiences, which set the scene, and pay for their travel and overnight accommodation. So we were lucky that the university was able to fund this for us, and we advertised far and wide using social media, and everybody who came was genuine, who wanted to communicate with us and work towards this topic. Have I answered that right, Penny?
Yeah, Christine, that's really helpful for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christine.
All right, I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Bye-bye.
Do you want to translate that, Benny, and then our answer and part, because it links to Steph's next bit of work?
Yeah. So what Christine said is that before, sorry, sebelum, ya, jadi tadi Dr. Christine Ferber menjelaskan bahwa memang untuk pelaksanaan kegiatan tersebut, beliau mengundang pakar-pakar, di mana pakar tersebut memang maksudnya cukup terkenal dan juga banyak melakukan proyek-proyek terkait dengan topik. Jadi kemarin ada juga pembicara mengenai artwork dan itu sangat menarik. Jadi bagaimana salah satu pakar itu melakukan penelitian tapi kualitatif seperti itu tapi dengan menggunakan gambar. Jadi mereka meminta partisipan untuk menggambar, kemudian hasil dari gambaran ini diilustrasikan dan juga diceritakan bagaimana hasil penelitiannya, seperti itu. Kemudian memang dari University of Salford pada saat itu memiliki funding untuk menyediakan refreshment, snack, dan juga menyediakan uang transport dari pembicara. Nah, itu yang mereka kerjakan sebelum melaksanakan proyek ini. Jadi mereka mencari sumber dana yang bisa memberikan funding bagi mereka. Dan memang kalau di sini, di UK, itu memang ada beberapa research grant yang ketika kita akan melakukan kegiatan penelitian, mereka sudah bisa memberikan funding seperti itu. Mungkin itu ya Mbak Ririn ya, strategi kita mengalokasikan dana itu terlebih dahulu begitu ya Mbak ya, harus out of pocket dulu di awal, tetapi nanti ketika sudah melakukan setelah mendapatkan dana penelitian, nah itu bisa semacam dimasukkan ke dalam anggaran seperti itu.
Yeah. So basically, our participant would like to know what's the feasibility of doing the PPIE in Indonesian context. As you know, when you come to Indonesia, all things is very different culturally. You have to do certain things to get people involved.
Yeah. And also I think, Ririn, you know, people, especially in rural areas, they are not quite familiar with the PPIE, Debbie. Yeah, that's also the challenges that we may face, in Indonesia.
Yeah, and I think for us, funding now includes PPIE because it's becoming more and more relevant and important. Studies know that we need to speak to people we don't usually hear from. So I think we do have some challenges with groups who don't tend to take part in research, explaining to them why we want their involvement. But I think that feeds nicely into Steph's work because she did get some funding. So I don't know if anyone wants to translate that quickly, and then introduce Steph.
All is okay, Debbie. Just the running text is coming nicely now.
Okay, perfect. I've very slow in my talk, so it's very good. So I will. Oh, Eka, you have your hand up.
Yeah, Debbie. I have one question actually. You said in the text in analysis fast, if I'm not mistaken, analysis pass. Yeah. We have to collect the agreement among the contributor. Is it yes? I mean, my question is how we handle if there is disagreement among the contributor. Yeah.
So you mean for the analysis stage?
Thank you, Debbie.
If we involve them, how do we manage that? I would say, Eka, this is the stage. Lots of people do find hard to bring PPIE back into the work. There is a lot of literature about doing this and not doing this. So there is lots of literature saying, actually, do people sometimes know what's going to come out of that work? And actually, may we be bringing our power imbalance in? May we be confusing things by saying to them, this is what the data shows? So I think it's very difficult, Eka, to do the analysis bit well. I think I have done it before where I have trained people living with diabetes to help me. They did the interviews and they helped with the analysis. And what we had to do was, I had to keep saying, think like a researcher. You have diabetes. You are speaking to people with diabetes, but it's not your view. This is someone else's view. Think like a researcher. You might have to translate this, sorry, someone. So I think that is difficult. And I think we have to bring in training when we do the analysis part. Does that answer the question? And Steph or Lucy or both might want to add something to that bit. Lucy did it and may talk about it in her presentation with the review. Does that answer your question, Eka?
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. It's very helpful for information. So we
Yeah,
have
I
to
think
think like researcher.
I think we will get more explanation after Lucy and Dr. Stephanie
Okay.
Lyon explain their materials,
Okay.
Debbie. Maybe we can get more insight and we can discuss about it later.
And I will write that down because maybe that is something for the next workshop, maybe. Okay, so I will pass over now to Dr. Stephanie Lyons. I can't see her on my slides, but I'm guessing she is still here. I will pass over to, oh, perfect. Stephanie works at the University of Manchester. She is a senior lecturer, at the University of Manchester, and she's going to talk to you about some work that she's been doing recently. Thank you, Steph.
Thank you.
Tell me when you want me to move the slide on.
Yeah, you can just move to the next one. That's fine. So I think we have covered some of the reasons why it might be important to set research priorities specifically with PPIE. But just to really highlight this again, the key reason for this is that it ensures research is relevant, useful, ethical, and impactful. And some specific examples of how that might be the case is recruitment and retention. So if you want to complete a research study, it will likely be much easier to get participants involved and to keep them in the study for as long as you need to collect the data if they are on board with the purpose of the research. And that is much more likely if they were involved in the process of designing that research and carrying it out on a particular topic. It also allows us to improve the inclusivity and the health equity of research, so we can involve people in research that aren't usually represented or involved. And if the research goes well, we recruit well, we keep people in the study, we're much more likely to produce the findings that we need to support implementation and to improve care as effectively and as quickly as possible. Next slide, Debbie, please. So a slightly more informal way of gaining research priorities from people in the local community. So over the past year, myself and Debbie and some other colleagues, Lucy was involved as well, I think Zoya on this call, we went into community centres, particularly in more deprived areas in northwest England. And rather than asking them, what are your research priorities? In which case they probably wouldn't have known what we were talking about or how to answer. We just had some casual conversations with families. How did their pregnancies go? How was their birth experience? What happened afterwards? And talked about their experiences and then asked them, that sounds a bit difficult. What happened there? And had these more in-depth conversations, and towards the end sort of said, that would be a really interesting area for us to explore a bit more in detail as a research study. Are you happy for us to note that down? And that would be anonymously. We wouldn't write their names with their ideas. We would just collect the ideas through having those more casual conversations. Because we went into the local communities, we went to groups that were already running. So we didn't need to pay travel expenses for the contributors because they were coming to those groups regularly. We went to somewhere that they already go to chat to them. So the only expenses we had were our own. And we also brought some activities to keep the children busy whilst we chatted to the parents and caregivers. And the other thing that we did was, which was quite useful, was we had some goodie bags. So we used the funding that we did have to create some bags with our logos on. We had an information leaflet in there with our contact details so people could email us afterwards if they were interested. And we had some small gifts for the parents and for the children they brought along with them. So over the 3 events, we spoke to around 60 families and we got probably 20, 25 different ideas from those families of things to focus our research on. And we're in the process of bringing them together to inform our future funding applications. And that's me done, I think.
And we have
Thank you.
That next step that Steph was talking about there. We have a student who is on the call today helping us to do that part, to bring all those priorities together so that we can then see where the key pieces of work we should be doing with these communities are. Are there any questions for Steph about that work?
I think Steph give us very important message here. Can I just explain it in bahasa shortly? Thank you. Jadi teman-teman tadi yang dijelaskan oleh Steph itu sangat bagus sekali. Jadi Steph ini di komunitas di 3 grup gitu yang sudah di-set. Jadi dia tinggal datang, tidak perlu lagi dia membayar orang untuk datang karena memang sudah, misalnya kita untuk ibu hamil kita ke kelas ibu. Jadi kelas ibu sudah ada regular dia datang. Jadi tidak perlu kita bayar lagi. Jadi sangat cerdas ini idenya Steph. Jadi dia memang sudah pakai jaringan yang sudah ada untuk mendapatkan masukan dari kelompok-kelompok ibu hamil. Jadi dia dari 3 kelompok dia bisa bicara dengan 60 keluarga, kemudian dia bisa dapat 20-25 ide untuk riset yang ke depan. Jadi itu mungkin salah satu cara tadi untuk mengaddress pertanyaannya Bu Yulida Fitri tadi, ya, supaya tidak harus kita mendatangkan orang, membayar orang, dan itu bisa salah satu jadi jalan keluar juga. Dan poin yang sangat bagus juga dari Steph adalah yang harus dibikin adalah supaya itu riset itu berdampak, riset itu ethical, riset itu sesuai dengan kebutuhan yang mau kita tuju gitu. Jadi bukan melulu kebutuhan kita sebagai peneliti. Jadi itu sebenarnya apa ya, intisari dari PPIE itu sendiri. Iya, terima kasih, saya rasa itu. Tapi maybe we can shall we move to Lucy?
Move on. So no questions?
Oh ya, ada yang mau bertanya kepada Steph? I think Steph has a very brilliant idea using the group that already set. So we do not need to pay. We do not need to, because they come anyway. So it's really brilliant idea. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I will move on. And I will pass over to our final speaker of today, who's going to talk about using PPIE in systematic reviews. So we must never forget that systematic reviews are research, and we are bringing together data to present a new finding. So really important way that we need to bring input and quality and understanding in is to bring our PPIE into our systematic review. So Lucy is going to tell us about how she's done that. Thank you, Lucy.
Okay, cool. Next slide, please, Debbie. So, yeah, my name's Lucy, and my systematic review, which might be familiar to some of you, looked at women's experiences of discussing health behaviours within their maternity care interactions. Next slide. So when I was setting out to do this systematic review, I thought of those questions that Debbie posed at the start of this session, the what, the why, and the how. Firstly, I thought, what people do I really kind of need to involve? What is relevant to the research that I'm doing? And I decided to involve key stakeholders of women who have experienced maternity care and healthcare professionals. They seem to be the key people in this idea of maternity care interactions. I then thought, why do I want to involve these people? That's a little bit thinking about what is the input that I wanted from them. And I'd realised that I wanted to ensure the research priorities of my systematic review aligned with what women and healthcare professionals found important when discussing health behaviours. And then I had to think about how I would access these people. And I was able to contact a working midwife through a fellow PhD colleague. I was able to contact a general practitioner through one of my supervisors. And then I put up posters around the University of Manchester to advertise for pregnant and postpartum women. Next slide. So once I'd heard back from some interested PPIE contributors, I started having a think about where in my research timeline it would be most useful to get their input. So I firstly decided that it would be really useful to hear from them when I was doing my search strategy. So I had already come up with my research question, and I was coming up with my research search strategy of how to look for relevant papers about health behaviour conversations. So I held my first PPI session as I was organising my search strategy, and I asked my PPI contributors what health behaviours are important to you. And the input that I kind of wanted from them was some clarity around the discussions that take place. Which discussions felt more important? Is it more important to talk about diet and exercise, or did they find smoking more important? Things like that. The activity that I made to help discuss and talk about this with them was a couple of pieces of card, and I wrote different behaviours on each card. So diet, exercise, smoking, and a bunch of other ones. And I got them to rank them from most important to least important. And that was my first session with my PPI contributors. Then the next sort of time point in my research that I thought was useful to get their input was during the data synthesis. So I had already finished my search, I'd got my systematic review papers, I'd extracted my data, and I'd started doing the analysis. So I basically had a draft of my final findings. And I took that draft to my PPI contributors and I asked them which patterns that I, as the researcher, have identified in this data feel the most important to you. So my thinking behind this was that I wanted their input to make sure that I, as someone who's never worked clinically and never had a child, had identified things that are important in maternity care interactions to them from their real experience. And the activity that I made to elicit this was I sent them a draft and I kind of asked them to highlight in different colours what felt important to them. So not necessarily what was good or what was bad, but what stuck out to them as an important part of these interactions. And if they could just write a couple of sentences why that felt important to them. And next slide. So the impact of these sessions was that after I got them to do that ranking task with the pieces of card, basically we had a really good discussion where they almost threw the cards away and said, there's no way to say what is important and what's less important. And from that discussion, we kind of made a decision that I would include behaviours that I hadn't even thought of yet, like taking vaccines, adhering to medication and taking contraceptives. And I would include that with my diet, my alcohol, my smoking, and I would keep the search strategy very broad. So that was a direct impact from talking to them. My search strategy became very broad and included all these different behaviours. And then the impact of that second discussion during data synthesis is that the PPI contributors explained that the experience of women wanting respect and autonomy when making decisions weighed very heavily in my final narrative. So they had pointed that out from my first draft, that I talked a little bit about respect and autonomy, and they said that to them, it's something that's very prevalent in the field right now. The women said that they wanted to feel that they had more respect and they preferred when people gave them autonomy. And the healthcare professionals said, I struggle with this with my colleagues at work, that we all take different approaches and we're trying to be more respectful and give them space to make decisions. So because of that discussion with them, it became a much larger point of my findings. And I think that might be all my slides.
Okay, oh, sorry. Ruin, is there anything you want to just translate there? Thank you, Lucy.
Ya, teman-teman sekalian, ini sepertinya yang masih di Lucy. Oh, enggak, udah di. Still mute. Oke. Jadi teman-teman yang tadi disampaikan Lucy ini dia agak lain dari yang sebelumnya, karena kan yang Lucy ini dia systematic review. Jadi systematic review-nya pun menggunakan PPIE. Jadi untuk dia melakukan si systematic review-nya, saya rasa ini sangat relevan sama teman-teman, karena sekarang kan teman-teman sedang mengerjakan tugas. Oh sorry, untuk teman-teman yang di S2 Kebidana sedang mengerjakan tugas dari Ibu Vivian untuk mengerjakan systematic review. Jadi ini nanti bisa menjadikan bahan pikiran untuk teman-teman, bahwa jadi dari sebelumnya dia udah berpikir gitu, ini topiknya bagusnya apa, menurut kalian di list gitu, nih merokok, diet, apa-apa yang paling penting, silakan. Nanti dia, menurut orang-orang ini yang lebih penting dari yang lain. Kemudian saat analisnya juga seperti itu, dia highlight nih, silakan, bukan masalah benar atau salah, tapi di highlight mana yang menurut mereka, penting nih buat saya gitu. Subjectively, tapi itu yang menurut penilaian mereka penting. Seperti itu. Saya pikir teman-teman sekalian mohon izin, apakah ada yang ingin bertanya? Kalau tidak, soalnya gini, ini sudah mau maghrib, saya tidak ingin mengganggu waktu sholat teman-teman. Bagaimana kalau kita ini ya, yang masih ada pertanyaan, kita buatkan G-form-nya, teman-teman boleh tulis di situ, akan kami sampaikan kepada pembicara. Bagaimana kalau begitu teman-teman? So Debbie, I think the problem here is about the time. This is almost praying time for us.
Well, we are finished. We are finished. This is all finished.
I do believe that this is very relevant what just Lucy said, because for those the master students that are in this workshop, they are doing the systematic review assignment. So I said, if they do have a question for Lucy or for Steph or for you or probably for Kristen, me and Eka will set a G form, a Google form, and Eka, can you just put it in the chat box so that?
Ruin, I have one ready, a Qualtrics to go. So maybe if Eka is just doing one now, could you just add in my question about the case study for next time? If not, I can send mine to everybody tomorrow.
Yes, I think what Eka will do is forward the question for you, for staff, and for Lucy about this workshop, and then yours will be about the next session. What do you think?
Perfect. So I just have asked, if people didn't get this link from me today, if they could just email me their email address. If you could just maybe just tell everybody that, because I will have email addresses of who I sent it to, but not anybody new.
Ya, teman-teman, tadi ada beberapa yang juga bilang sama saya tidak dapat linknya, bisa mengirimkan alamat emailnya ke emailnya Debbie Smith, debbysmith2@manchester.ac.uk. Jadi nanti silahkan kirimkan alamat email teman-teman supaya mendapatkan link untuk seri workshop yang kedua, yang tanggal 1 Desember. The 1st December, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, terima kasih teman-teman. Thank you very much for coming, for give us new information. Really, this is very new for us. It
Yeah,
was very
yeah.
useful information, wonderful presentation from all of you. We can say thank you enough, and then we would like to see you again in the second workshop.
Definitely. In the next workshop, we'll get people thinking a bit more for PPIE in Indonesia.
Ya. Terima kasih teman-teman semua. Sampai ketemu nanti di workshop yang kedua. Mudah-mudahan bisa bergabung kembali.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ririn. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. Jadi.
I like that little song there. That was nice.
Bu Ririn, ini udah boleh keluar ya?
Oh iya boleh Bu. Nanti linknya saya kirimkan lewat grup WhatsApp saja ya.
Oke, siap. Terima kasih Ibu.
Oke, terima kasih. Bye Debbie. I have to go.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Lucy, thank you very much. Bye.
No worries. Nice to see you.
Di Australia.
Awak tadi nak nanya ya Farida? Mau nanya kamu tadi? Malu.
Debbie. Masih ada Debbie loh, Kak Martina.
Nggak apa-apa dah itu.
Hey,
I like to
Debbie.
ask. Our
How are
participant
you?
allowed
Okay.
to know. To know about the progress of the research.
It's getting there. We have lots of students who have completed it, so it's coming along nicely. Hopefully I will come back in March and tell you all about it.
Jawab Kak Martina.
Jawablah, gue malu dong tadinya gitu.
See you next time, Debbie.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, Lucy.
Debbie.
Bye, Debbie. See you.
See you
Lucy,
soon.
thank you.
Miss Debbie.
Hello.
Hello. Are our participant allowed to know about the progress of the research?
To be honest, I haven't actually looked yet at the numbers. I will look at the numbers and I will let Ririn know so she can tell you. Because to be honest, I haven't looked at the numbers for the research yet. It has gone out to one university in England, one university in Indonesia, and today it will go out to a second university in England.
Oh, yes. Okay, Miss. Thank you.
You're very welcome. See you soon.
Bye.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, Lucy.
Hiya, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Hi, ma'am. How are you?
Very well, thank you. We'll have a
It was such a
quick
nice presentation.
Oh, good. We'll have a quick debrief in a second. We'll just wait for everybody to
Oh,
leave.
yeah,
just in
that
case
was my
anyone-
question. Like, should I
Yeah,
stay
just
in
in
the
case
meeting
anyone
or
has
should
any
I leave?
questions.
Yeah. I was like, if I should stay, I should leave. I don't know.
Yeah, no, if you want to just stay a moment, then we can have a
No,
very
that's
quick,
fine. That's fine.
a quick
Yeah.
debrief.
Thank you.
Yes, please, Lucy.